What's up, guys and girls? This is the Murder Hog Monster Lance Archer, and you're watching the Battleground Podcast. Tune in Sunday night, Double or Nothing. Watch me and Miro beat the crap out of each other for the TNT Championship, and watch me become the new TNT Champion.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Battleground Podcast. You know what this weekend is, right, Eli? Don't you? No?
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. How do you not know what this weekend is? It is AEW Double or Nothing, and it's Sunday, May 30th, live on
I figured it was a trick question. I was like, okay.
It could have been a trick question. It just so happens that we have a special guest on the show. Last time they were here was 2019. They had just won the United States title over in New Japan. So let's go ahead without further ado. I was going to sing, no, I'm not going to do it. Let's just go ahead and bring him on. It's Lance Archer joining us on the show. Lance, what's going on, man?
What's up? You should have just played the music.
I thought he was going to, yeah.
Well, I don't know if YouTube would have popped me with copyright or if maybe because so I don't want to take that risk and then they just take the entire interview down. So I could have just been like, everybody. There it is.
There it is. There it is.
I mean, they still may pull that down though because of
almost as intimidating.
Almost. It's not as intimidating as watching you come out of the tunnel with either you just completely clotheslining somebody from hell or like you said earlier, just carrying Sonny Kiss out and just, obliterating them. So, Lance, you've got a big match coming up on Sunday. It's going to be a tough one. You and Miro for the TNT World TV title. I mean, how do you think going into this match? I mean, Miro's a big dude, but you're a lot bigger.
Yeah, I'm definitely a lot taller for sure. You can't take away from his size.
So how do you plan for Miro? Because I mean, it seems like so far right now he's unstoppable, but you're also an unstoppable guy.
Right. It's that old cliche: the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. We'll figure out who moves and who gets stopped.
It's gonna be a fun match to watch because I mean. Both big guys, and it's going to be a heavy hitting match, and it's going to be one of those ones that you don't know who's going to win, but our track record,
I know.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Our track record on this show is everybody that comes on goes on to win a title. So
you're welcome.
I mean, you're next in line. So, kind of speaking of AEW real quick, you signed and made your AEW debut last March 11th. So we're past the year mark, basically right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Right.
What has that first year been like for you?
It's been unprecedented. I mean, because nobody knew that this was going to happen. My contract went in effect early February, and then I did my physical debut on the last road show that AEW had, and we were in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that was the night the NBA pulled their teams off the court, and then the next day everything shut down. So nobody knew what was going to happen because like the week after that we were supposed to be in Rochester, New York to a full sold out show, which that was supposed to be the original Blood and Guts, which obviously didn't happen. Everything just changed. It completely and immediately changed. And I think nobody knew what was going to happen. Tony didn't know what was going to happen. The company didn't know how to happen. The world didn't know what was going to happen. And I think we handled it, from top to bottom as smoothly and as well as anybody possibly could. When everything else shut down, we found a way to keep going in some form or fashion. We did it in the most safe way possible from the very beginning of this. Tony has taken tremendous care of everybody that works for AEW. Every step of the way, it was like, okay, what needs to be done through testing, through, paying attention, through, whether people should be traveling, not whatever the case was, to try to protect, not only the people as a whole when we were together as a group, but, the individuals, to make good decisions for themselves moving forward. And, like I said, it was a fluid process for the world, and it was definitely a fluid process for AEW and wrestling. And I think, all of us, again, from top to bottom, handled it as smooth and good as it possibly ever could have been handled, because we really never had a disruption in shows. We did go to Atlanta one time and have to tape close to, we could have probably stretched it out over a couple months if we needed to. I think there was about a month where we were all at home and they had enough in the can to, make sure that there were shows, new shows showing up every week. But then, we were able to get back on the road, and they kind of had to combine some stuff. And then we got back at it. Jacksonville and Daly's Place has become an amazing home. And the environment's been good, from, again, every single person on the roster to all the amazing extra talents that have come in. You have to give credit to those guys and girls, that are coming in. Obviously, they're trying to get an opportunity. They're trying to get looked at, and they're trying to get a job. But part of their job has been so much more than it's ever been in the past. Where in the past, guys and girls were brought in as extras, and they hope to get a match, and they just try to, keep their nose clean and their head down while they were backstage and just do, their wrestling match or whatever little, extra security job that they got offered to do in the evening. And it turned into, we need you to help make this show, something that people can recognize, even though it was on a much abbreviated scale, the sound and audible nature that the extras came in. I can't give enough credit to them, cheering for us and booing us and just being a part of it in that environment when we're in the ring. That was invaluable to the talent that was in the ring. And I think anybody that was watching at home on TV, just that sound that felt real, felt like a wrestling show, even though everybody understood the situation, made it part of what helped AEW just continue to grow, get better, and just we're skyrocketing, man. And I think we're leading into the next stage, when we start back on the road July 7th in Miami. And those, like I said, guys and girls that came in week after week after week and would sit for hours by the ring and cheer and scream and yell, man, they're invaluable. I can't go on enough about them. I think that's one of the biggest aspects that helped AEW get through this and succeed in big ways.
And I think that was me and Eli have had that conversation when you started watching AEW and you see, like you said, the talent and the roster and the superstars all around ring. I think that gave us that as a wrestling fan, that sense of, okay, this isn't piped in.
No,
this isn't just, whatever. And you have the interaction, which then can also set up, I'm putting myself with the pencil right now, set up long-term storytelling with, if somebody from the crowds interact with the match and all that other stuff. And so that made it feel normal for us.
Yes.
Having everybody there, and like having MJF and Sean Spears gambling and drinking wine, and
just fun little stuff, man. And like I said, for the guys and girls that were in the ring at the time, like I said, invaluable. I mean, but the night and day difference, if you had to actually work some of the early dark stuff that didn't have fans, and then if you were on Dynamite and we did have the fans, and then now we have guys and girls that are willing and able to stay out there even for darks and elevations, and it helps tremendous. I mean, like I said, you can't explain how much of a difference that makes when you're watching it at home and when you're in the ring performing. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, AEW got excellent, coverage on how they've been handling the pandemic. A lot of other companies have not handled it quite as well. Was there any nerves or anything? Like, you just signed this contract and then boom, everything stops. I mean, was there any kind of uncertainty, or did Tony just kind of pat you on the back, be like, it's gonna be all right, we'll get through it?
Are you talking about me personally, or are you talking about the company as a whole?
Well, just you. I mean, you debuted right when it started, and then they pulled the brakes,
Yeah, I mean, I debuted, and my debut match was, Marco Stunt at the factory over there in Atlanta, Georgia, with just a few of our wrestlers around the ring, again, giving that little audible nature to it. And it was just, it was like, hey, you've got to perform. Red lights coming on. And, then I debuted with Marco, was a live show too. It's like, we're live. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. We're live right now. Either A, you go and perform and make a statement, or B, you fall on your face and we know what we've got. And I wasn't about to fall on my face. And so, I mean, Tony, like I said, there's amazing credit to Tony, everybody that works for Tony that helped do these shows, the production crew, all the people that, film us and make us look amazing through all the different camera shots and the audio and everything. I mean, I can't say how tremendous of a job that the entire company, again, you're watching the wrestlers in the ring, but everybody that was around, all the people behind the scenes that made this happen and made it possible. If I could run down a list and say thank you to those people, man, we'd be here all night. But I'd love to do it, because those people, again, behind the scenes, cameras, production crew, anybody that did stuff like that, they made it possible.
Nice. It's been awesome to watch. I mean, going back to what we were saying earlier about the people in the crowd, Jade was in the crowd before she debuted, so it was kind of funny to see her, and then like, oh, okay, so yeah, like all that kind of stuff was really good. So let's talk about you. You got paired up with Jake the Snake.
Right.
How did that come about? What's it been like? Has he given you any knowledge, anything? I mean, what's that experience been like?
No, we never talk.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, Jake's been great. Jake's been great not only to me, but behind the scenes. Again, this goes back to behind the scenes. The things that people don't recognize is what everybody is doing together to move forward. And then Jake is one of those guys. The wealth of knowledge that we have from the Arn Andersons, Dean Malenkos, Jared Lenz, Billy Guns, Dustin Rhodes. I throw myself in that category to a small degree. I'm coming up on 21 years in the business. And even from the youngest talent that, have a different grasp on society and life today in 2021, it's their era. And their ability to go, hey, this is cool to us kids now. And for us old fogies to go, okay, cool. I like that idea. And thank you for giving me that thought night. It is. So everybody helping everybody. So Jake is one of those guys that could take his wealth of knowledge that he's had throughout the entire time of his career and help those guys and girls. And then me directly, I always say that it took me a while, but I finally figured out who the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer, should have always been in the business of professional wrestling, from coming out and destroying some random cameraman to when I was in Japan, blasting young lions or whatever the case was. And then what I needed to do when I stepped in the ring. I'm obviously going to be able to still learn from guys like Jake and Arn and whoever is going to be willing to give me some advice. But I'm pretty confident, and I'm very confident in the Murder Hawk Monster when I step in the ring. Where I needed the most help and what Jake helped me the most with were my promo skills. I've been in Japan for nearly a decade, and 8.5 years, coming up on 9 years. And, all we ever did was post-match promos, and I was just yelling and screaming and being a character and being a personality, which is what translated to the Japanese people. And most of them didn't really understand what I was saying, and half the time when they did some kind of translation, it was almost completely wrong. So they just felt the energy of the Murder Hawk Monster and they loved it. Now I'm back in the States and the energy's there, but now you have to be able to speak to the people as well. So when you say something, they know what you're saying. So if you fumble on your words and sound like an idiot, they're going to call you on it. And Jake was very instrumental in kind of helping me find my voice, find that voice of the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer. I'm not trying to be Jake the Snake Roberts, but his feel, his cadence, his ability to kind of express something through words is something he helped me out on a tremendous level, while finding how the Murder Hawk Monster would say it, what I would say, how I'd say it, when I would say it, things of that nature. And I think that for me has been where he's been the most valuable, is the ability to grab a microphone, say what I need to say, and make people go, okay, now I'm listening.
Right. And of course, people are going to be listening this Sunday. AEW Double or Nothing is going to be live on pay-per-view. And if you're outside of the US, go, of course, watch it on Fight. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you kind of mentioned doing some stuff in Japan. And you took part in a IWGP US title match against Moxley on October 14th anniversary edition of Dynamite. Are you surprised at the working relationship AEW and other wrestling companies currently have? Because, back in the day when growing up as wrestling fans, you didn't really see other companies working together. And now you see AEW, and you've seen Tony Khan open this forbidden door, and it's W, Impact, New Japan.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely awesome and I think that's part of what's helped AEW grow. I think it's what's made people watch from week to week, and because you just don't know exactly who's going to show up. You're like, okay, what can happen this week? Who's going to show up from Impact? The Good Brothers? I don't know. Who else could show up from Impact? Who could show up? Kenta showed up from New Japan. I mean, nobody even thought that was going to happen. There's just so many things that can and could happen because his, Tony's willingness and the EVP's willingness to allow that into the company, and to the possibility of us showing up there in their companies as well. And for the fans, I just think it makes it a lot of fun, because you do know your talents, and you do know your stories, and you do know who's doing what within the company that you choose to follow. But now you're going, wait a second, if you're an Impact fan and you don't follow AEW, but Kenny Omega shows up, you go, wait a second, who's, you know, if they didn't already know who Kenny Omega is for some reason, they're going to go, well, who's this guy? Where's he come from? AEW champion. I'm going to check it out. So now they're watching our product with Impact, and vice versa. If they're AEW fans and the Good Brothers show up, you know, the Good Brothers did kind of make a name on a national television show. And they, you know, showed up in Impact, and then they showed up in AEW, and, you know, and there's a good chance they're going to show up in New Japan stuff because they have a history there. I have a history with them. I mean, I just think it makes it a lot of fun, you know, for the talent and for the fans, most importantly, you know, and they're the ones that are the lifeblood of this business. And, you know, I think we're excited to get back to them coming up in July. And I mean, you know, we've been lucky enough for a little while now to have limited fans on our live events. You know, when we do live Dynamite shows, you know, we start out with about 500 in Daly's place, and Daly's holds about 5,000. But, you know, I think Jericho's probably told the story as well, you know, just getting to hear even just 500 people sing his song felt deafening to him. And I remember the first time that I got to be out there, you know, and then, you know, the Brody Memorial show was probably one of our biggest crowds at that point. And just, you know, it was an unfortunate, sad reason to be having an event, you know, and God rest his soul, because he influenced everyone in AEW and around the world. You know, there was so much outpouring of love from every company and wrestler in the business, and rightfully so. But just the energy level that was on that event, everybody knowing what it was for, respecting what it was for, but making wrestling amazing again, you know, and we've had a few occasions like that. You know, every time the fans show up, you know, when we do Dynamite, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a good group that show up Friday night, you know, when we do a Dynamite, late night Dynamite, you know, and the fact that they'll be there is going to make it amazing. And then Double or Nothing is going to be a sold out show. You know, when Miro and I lock horns, butt heads, and break teeth, we're going to do it in front of a sold out 5,000 plus seat building with people losing their minds, and we're going to lose our minds along with it. So, I mean, it's just an amazing experience from top to bottom, beginning to end.
I was at a Double or Nothing 2019. I guess that was the first one. That was the one Cody versus Dustin, and Moxley showed up and all that. So I'm ready. I'm ready to get back to another pay-per-view. So this yeah, this one's kind of a fun question. Since joining AEW, who have you made friends with backstage that maybe is the most surprising to you, or maybe just us listening may be like, oh, I wouldn't place them together as friends?
You know, I've become extremely friendly with pretty much everyone. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that probably don't think I'm as cool as I think I am, but you know, I'm trying to think if there's anybody specific, and there's nobody that I can just nail down and say, well, that person very specifically is like my bud and I hang out with. You know, I'm kind of a loner. I kind of do my own thing, and I show up, and I just want to laugh and have a good time with the guys and girls that are on our company. And again, because everybody has such a good attitude, you know, there's not a lot of like cliques within AEW. There's not a lot of just people just hanging out with each other, pointing at other people, looking, look at that guy, look at that girl, you know, saying negative things. Everybody kind of, you know, hangs out with each other and talks to each other. And I think that's what makes it cool, is it has more right now, especially, you know, and hopefully that never changes, a very good family atmosphere, you know. And there's always going to be, you know, spats here and there between family members and whatnot, but for the most part, like I said, everybody gets along. So there's nobody that I like, you know, show up on a week, you know, every week and call them and go, hey man, I'm in town, you in town, let's go eat, you know, nothing like that. So I can't say any one person specifically, but I like and love all the people that I work with right now, and I hope they like and love me too.
We didn't know if like you and Riho like pounded beers and wings every Tuesday or something, you know, just something random.
By, you know.
There you go.
I was looking for him to be like, Marco's my new BFF.
Well,
great,
but
man.
you know, but that kind of atmosphere backstage, that's going to go a long way. You know, I mean, a lot of the turmoil and the poison you have is when you get those cliques and all that kind of division and stuff. So
So, I mean, you talk about having a historical career of 20 plus years, and you've worked for many huge wrestling promotions, from the big ones up north to Impact and New Japan. How does Tony Khan differ from other bosses you've had in the past?
I think just his excitement for the business is something I haven't seen before. You know, there's a lot of people that I've worked for at different times, and I think the business, unfortunately, the longer people have been in it for whatever reason, sometimes they get jaded with it. And Tony just has this absolute excitement about wrestling every single time. And
You can tell he loves it.
He's got so much on his plate, from the Jaguars. Literally, I was checking into the hotel today, and there was a couple of his players here for the OTAs, and and we were talking about that and whatnot, and he's got that on his plate. He's got the Fulham Football Club over in the UK, and he's got us over here. And I've always had an open communication with him, and I think that's invaluable. Just that's a hard thing, because there's a lot of times when you try to speak to someone or have some communication with someone within the business, especially if they're on a higher level and you're trying to get understandings and answers and things like that, you're left on red a lot. They don't answer you, you don't get a reply, or you get a reply days later and it's usually a one-word answer and things like that. And it's very frustrating and disheartening. And Tony has never been that way. He's always been very open with his communication with me, and I'm sure everyone else in the company. And I think that's changed. And I'm going back to the Brody situation, knowing what he did for Brody's family makes me proud to work for him. And even if for some insane reason, and I hope it never happens, I get let go from the company, that alone has gained me a respect for him forever. Who knows what happens in life, in the business. We always, we're good with people someday, we're bad with people other days, but that by itself, I will never lose respect for him, because he chose to take care of Brody's family in a way that he absolutely did not have to do.
Yeah, and most places don't.
And I know Cesar Bonani, I think, sorry, Cesar, if I said your name incorrectly. He's dealing with a family issue right now with his wife and her battle with leukemia and whatnot. Yeah. And Tony was very instrumental in helping her, I think, get over here and do a lot of things. And, recently there was a GoFundMe that was started. So, if your listeners can go find that and they can donate, please donate and help him. And I think Tony made a huge donation. Again, things he just absolutely does not have to do, and he does them. And I think that's the difference, is like, it just makes you proud, and you want to work hard for the guy who's taking care of you and everyone else around you so well. I mean, there's so much frustration in wrestling. There's so many good days, bad days, frustrating days. For anybody who's aspiring to be one of the top people in this business, there's always going to be questions and misunderstandings and frustrations and whatnot. But when you can step back and go, look at the person I'm working for in Tony Khan and AEW, this is a damn good place. And I don't want to screw that up by being bitter and acting out in a silly way. I want to make him proud, because I am proud of him.
Right.
And that's the thing is, and we'll also tweet a link out for that GoFundMe page. Cool. Watching the Brody tribute show, and I was texting Eli as a father of 2 kids, watching that show, I've never been like emotional for a wrestling event, other than when the Undertaker got beat and the streak was ruined. But I was sitting there watching that show with my 12-year-old and my 4-year-old, and like getting emotional and seeing everything. And like, and I'm 32 years old. I legitimately cried watching that thing. And,
I don't know how y'all got through it there in person.
I'm getting goosebumps talking about it.
To me, let me tell you what I think. One of the biggest reasons that every single person was able to go out there. I mean, obviously there's a lot of beyond respect for Brody himself. His boy, Brody Jr., -1, they'd already been coming, and, there was some understanding of the situation prior to it becoming public behind the scenes a little bit. We weren't privy, none of our businesses, to the exact situation that was going on, but we knew there was a situation going on. And, Brody Jr. had been around and whatnot. He was always making us smile and everything. And then when the unfortunate finality of the situation and Brody's passing and things like that, you would think that the last place that Amanda and the family would want to be is around wrestling. And that show was thrown together. There was supposed to be a whole different Dynamite that day, right? And Tony decided to make it a tribute show for Brody, especially with all the Dark Order guys, and amazingly, I got chosen to be a part of that. -1 loves wrestling so much, and he was around, and he was always having a good time. And even that day, and he's old enough to know what's going on, you can't help yourself but watch this kid, see him loving life, enjoying what he's doing, being in the ring with us, chasing Vance around, 10 around, and the other Dark Order guys, and just being full of life. And you see Brody in his son, and that by itself, for me, and I think a lot of people, and especially his mother, because that's strength beyond strength just to be there and around that for that. Seeing him, I think, got every single one of us through that.
Yeah.
Because he was so happy just to be around us and wrestling. And he, like I said, he knows what happened with his father, but he was happy to be around us. That was his happy place. And we wanted to make sure he was happy so that his father's legacy lived on. And I think that's, for me, it was one of the greatest things to see Brody Jr. being a happy 10-year-old boy.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, the way they embraced him and, put him in the Dark Order and gave him the mat. I mean, it was just.
And he had his own music.
And exactly.
How many kids can say that they had their own mask in a pro wrestling crate box?
Mhm.
Right. I mean, I did an unboxing video wearing that earlier, which was very interesting. It got stuck to my head, and I was like, "Yeah, this is why big heads don't put on luchador masks." But it's great stuff. But Nick Aldis got a victory over you back in 2015 under the Global Force.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. We didn't know about it either. Someone brought it to our attention.
So I'm kind of interested in this. Now that he's a long reigning NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, and we've had Nick on the show before, and we've asked about him coming to AEW, would he wrestle or anything like that, and of course the working relationship with AEW and NWA.
Right. Would
you be open to challenging Nick Aldis for that 10 pounds of gold?
Absolutely, I'd be open to kicking his ass. I'd be grateful to do it. And he'd enjoy. Well, he wouldn't enjoy me kicking his ass, but it would be fun for me and the people watching. Nick's great, man. I'm not taking anything away from Nick. Nick has been an amazing champion for the NWA, and I did fight him for Global Force, and I actually fought him one time in Texas. For RCW, it was a company down in San Antonio, Texas, and both times, like the match I had with him at Global Force way back in the day, we'd never really even talked to each other before, and we stepped in the ring and it was like we'd been wrestling for 10 years, and we did it again in at RCW in San Antonio, and I think him and I's mentality about the business just worked really well together. He's a big dude, I'm a big dude, and we know how to work around that, and the fact that he's been their champion for so long has been an amazing feat for him. So yeah, absolutely. If and when the opportunity came about and he wanted to strap his boots and step in the ring with the Murder Hawk Monster for round 3, let's go, brother. I'm gonna bring something different this time, and I'm taking that 10 pounds of gold home with me.
Well, now that you've got some influence from Jake the Snake, you're more of a complete package Murder Hawk. So, not the same Murder Hawk. It was more of a baby Murder Hawk when you first, a couple years ago.
Baby Hawk now.
Yeah, baby Hawk. Okay, so this is a kind of a 2-part. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and where do you think AEW will be in 5 years from now?
For myself, I hope to have achieved things again that I think a lot of my career has been, where from showing up in AEW and people going, oh my God, I remember him from TNA. And it's like, I've been doing amazing things for 10 plus years or 15 plus years since the last time I was in TNA.
Oh yeah.
Like to just continue for the next 5 years, continue to surprise people in ways that they never even expected to see, to continue to make people go, damn, okay, we didn't know he could do that, or we didn't know that, he was able to do that, and just keep surprising people in the best ways. And, in the next 5 years, truly be one of the top guys within AEW and within the industry. And as far as AEW is concerned, like I said, if we keep doing what we're doing, and the ratings keep getting better because our fans are amazing and they stick with us and they keep coming around, they keep telling their friends, and more people are tuning in. We're moving to TBS in 2022, but we have a second show coming along in August. If everything continues to move forward, and our relationship with TBS and TNT continues to be so strong, and the fans just continue to support us, I think in 5 years you could see us on a whole level that all of us expect to be, but maybe some people didn't know it could be achieved in the next 5 years. And I think that's where it'll be. It'll be one of those things, again, for myself and for the company. I think both of us in 5 years, everybody going, damn, this is awesome.
Well, and I think a lot of times people, I know I'm guilty of it. I think a lot of people overlook the importance of the TV deals. I mean, most brand new wrestling companies do not get deals like this.
No,
I mean, how long did it take WWE to get Raw? You
right,
know, I mean, to get get on with the Turner networks,
right,
starting with TNT, start expanding, moving to TV. I mean, it's really unprecedented for a new company, you know.
for sure.
So I mean, it's that alone is a massive accomplishment, and I think some people kind of overlook it from time to time, which shouldn't happen. So
Right. You know, and who knows what's going to happen with technology in the next 5 years. You know, the one thing that this last year has done, I think, is, you know, even with what we're doing right now, has opened technological doors that didn't exist prior to all this. May have been thoughts and ideas and whatnot, but kind of pushed it forward into a way. You know, who knows what happens in the next 5 years with technology, as far as whether TV is the mainstay or whether it's the internet or there's some new technology that nobody is even thinking of right now that's going to be paving the way for all entertainment, including AEW and myself.
absolutely.
Of course, AEW Double or Nothing is this Sunday. You can watch it on pay-per-view. If you're outside of the US, you can watch it on Fight. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. So we took to social media earlier today and asked some fans if they want to have some questions for you.
Uh-oh.
And our friends Jofo in the Ring wants to know, will he ever come out with one of Jake the Snake's snakes during a match?
Probably not, because I'm not Jake the Snake. So
Yeah.
Jake is Jake the Snake. We had the snake on one time, threw it on Brandy, and I think that, you know, with the way the world works now, and everybody gets a little offended somehow, some way, there may not be another snake. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we can bring back some nostalgia of a snake somewhere around the way, and we'll see what happens. I've got to find an actual mythical murder hawk so I can bring that out.
There you go.
What I was gonna say, like, if you could find like a hawk to just come out, or maybe like send a like
Just stand there with the
come down.
glove and
Yeah.
But it's
That would
got
be
to be
incredible.
a murder hawk. It can't just be a regular hawk. So
Yeah.
murder hawks, people don't understand. Murder hawks are an extremely rare mythical creature that nobody even understands or knows what it is. Neither do I.
So we have another question, and this was on Instagram. C_check44 wants to know, can you hit Miro with 5 blackouts Sunday? I'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna boot him right in the face and hit him with 5 in a row and win the TNT title. Sounds like a plan to me.
Sounds like a good plan.
5 and go home.
Yep,
Wrap
5
up.
and go home. Why not?
That's an easy paycheck.
Just for giggles, you know.
And we'll get one more fan question, and this is from Gilmore Guy, and he said, with the state of wrestling as it is today,
Mm-hmm.
do you believe that there's a main event spot and longevity in it for the monsters of professional wrestling, such as yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think the monsters of the business have changed tremendously. It's not just, you know, the people of the past that are obviously legends and you can't take anything away from them, the Andre the Giants and things like that. You know, that's a different style of monster that existed back then. Today's modern monsters are much more athletic. And it's the fact that we can be as big as we are and still do things that maybe you don't expect to see from guys like us. You know, I enjoy doing my little Undertaker tribute and walking those ropes, but then I add my own flair to it and moonsault off of it. You know, never, not that Taker ever had to. He absolutely never had to, but you know, maybe the Murder Hawk did, and that's how the Murder Hawk flies. I walk them ropes and I flip over backwards and land on somebody. It's fun, you know. And then there's a lot of people that never expected. I think the first time I did it, Tony was like, I got back and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just watched you do that. And I was, yeah, I can do that. It's not that difficult.
Yeah. You're right though about like the big guys, because you know, kind of went through the 90s. You had like Yokozuna, Earthquake,
Right.
Bam Bam, Vader, and that's even different from the 80s. And
Right.
so there's always changes, and it you know, it kind of evolves with the times and stuff like that.
And I think that's what you're going to see when you watch Miro and I. We're 2 big bad sons of bitches. We're going to go in there and we're going to beat the crap out of each other, but we're also going to do things that you don't expect to see as 2 big bad sons of bitches do.
Right.
Speaking of big guys, you've got a big guy now down there in Jacksonville that everybody on ESPN and NFL has been talking about, a guy by the name of Tim Tebow. Any chance that we see Lance Archer square off with Tim Tebow, or like a stare down in the ring?
I absolutely hope so, man. If you know, yes, I want to beat up Tim Tebow, but I respect Tim Tebow because Tim Tebow is probably one of the most, you know, we all have our faults. I'm not saying he's any kind of perfect person or human being, but man, that dude, he really knows how to take care of himself. He really knows how to handle himself. And you want to talk about it, just an amazing human being. That's Tim Tebow. I think that he gets a lot of grief, for his faith, and I have my faith, and I respect it. And I think anybody that truly searches who he is and what he does and what he's done, even if you have any kind of trepidation to what you think of Tim Tebow, if you actually research Tim Tebow and find out, like I said, what he has done, what he is doing, and what he will do, you can't help but have respect for the man. So I have nothing but respect for him, but I'd like to get him in the ring and kick him in the teeth.
Yeah. Well, it's already a big boost. They said his jersey's already #1 in NFL. And
yeah,
he hasn't even caught a pass yet.
Yeah, he hasn't even.
All right, I'm gonna say this. There's a lot of Tim Tebow haters as far as his. Yes, he's gonna be a tight end now, and I hope he's successful doing that. But the man, his one starting season in the NFL, he was a winning quarterback. He was He was 8-6 with a mediocre team. And
he beat the Steelers when there was no chance of them beating the Steelers.
He was always given grief for his throwing, that he wasn't a good quarterback and he couldn't throw the ball. And he won his one playoff game, in overtime with a 60-yard bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like everything that people said. He was just a winner. So I feel that he got kind of a short end of the stick as far as all that was concerned, because he just, especially at that time, wasn't the prototypical quarterback, but he was always a winner, and then he went and tried baseball and, he was doing commentary and things like that. So I hope that he finds some sort of success, in the NFL. I know there's been a lot of grief that he's even back in the NFL, but I think he is such a hard worker. He's such a good human being that I think he's going to take this opportunity and he's going to give it 1,000%. And, if there's any chance for him making it, he's somebody I think that can.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, we won't keep you. We know you got a big weekend ahead, planning and mentally and physically for Miro. Where can people keep up with you online? Are you active on Twitter, Instagram, any of that?
Yeah, right now I keep all my socials under my real name, Lance Hoyt. So at Lance Hoyt on Twitter, at Lance_Hoyt for Instagram. Those are the two main ones I use. I have a Facebook. I really don't use it anymore. So Instagram and Twitter are the two main ones. I have a TikTok and I don't really ever use that. I just watch them. But yeah, those are the two main ones I use, Instagram and Twitter. They can check me out there. They can hit me up. If they say something cool, I'll probably answer them back. They say something dumb, I'm going to scroll right past you, probably mute you. So yeah, check that out. Definitely, like I said, if you've had any thoughts about what you should be doing on Sunday night, you should be tuning in to Double or Nothing, because it's the first sold out pro wrestling show on pay-per-view from top to bottom, from the main event, with Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy and Pac, to the Stadium Stampede, Britt Baker and Sheeta, the Bucks and Moxley and Eddie Kingston, me and Miro, the spectacle that is going to be me and Miro, the beasts that are going in for the TNT Championship, the Casino Battle Royal. I mean, all this is going to happen in front of a live sold out crowd. We're talking about that audience feel, that real feel, that normal feel. This is going to give you goosebumps if you're watching it at home, or if you're going to be there live. It's going to make you just lose your mind, and we're all excited for it. So tune in and watch me and Miro kick each other's butts and watch me take home the TNT title.
Exciting stuff. And that's what's going to happen because you've been on this show. So you're going to go on and win the title. Of course, This Sunday, Double or Nothing, AEW. You can watch it on pay-per-view. You can watch it on Fight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead and get that now. Lance, honor to have you back on the show again. We'll have to, once you guys kind of stop back through Nashville and that TNT title's around your waist, you got to come bring it to the studio.
Absolutely.